No.
Now, have you ever seen any precedent for someone not being held accountable for what one of their personalities did? Who really had that?
I mean, I think that people have been able to get away with some crimes based on...
Proven that they had multiple personality disorder.
Well, hell, he gets away with his crimes based on it, so here you go.
What the hell? Oh my God, is the Zoo Man still out there?
Well, while Huskey was in jail, like awaiting the trial, he read the book Sybil.
Oh, okay.
And he also admitted that he read it in the 7th grade, but then he also had that copy in his jail cell, so he's read that book about someone with multiple personalities.
Yeah, he's brushing up on it.
Yeah.
What kind of bullshit is that?
During his confession as Kyle, he told investigators details about the women, what they were wearing, how he picked them up on Magnolia Avenue. He then described what happened once he took them out to Cahaba Lane. He said Patricia Rose Anderson had begged for her life and that of her unborn child.
And her son?
Well, you know, she was pregnant.
Oh, Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Patricia Anderson.
I'm sorry.
And she's pregnant. So.
Right.
I'm sorry, do I have an accent? Am I stuffy? You can't hear me?
No, I got it. That was just my ears being stupid. Stupid ears.
Dr. Jeffrey Erickson said he had diagnosed Thomas back in 1977 with a brain disorder. Husky was ordered to see Erickson when he was 16 years old because he'd been caught stealing money from a house on zoo property, also breaking and entering into that house. Now, another doctor reported his multiple personalities and said that he would often lose track of time. He also said that, Husky had no impulse control while under the spell of these personalities.
Okay.
Now, this doctor stated that he was insane at the time the 4 women were murdered.
How the hell that doctor know that shit?
I don't know. Another strategy the defense used was that Huskey had been recruited into an S&M prostitution sex ring.
Oh, because those would happen a lot.
Which permanently damaged his mental capacity.
Okay.
Yeah, this happens quite a bit in Knoxville. You didn't know? It's like the S&M prostitution sex ring capital. The defense said Huskies being raised by zoo workers made him feel like a caged animal because he was not emotionally supported. He also claimed physical and sexual abuse by teachers, as well as a gang rape by someone called Sergeant Blackie and some other teenage boys. Of course, they were not able to find any of these alleged attackers.
So there's this raping gang led by Sergeant Blackie.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
and
none of
some
this.
Other roving teenagers.
Yeah, none of this sounds fake as hell.
Timmy allegedly emerged after the gang rape, the personality. The psychiatrist testified that Huskey had created these personalities to deal with this PTSD and trauma, basically, that he'd experienced.
Okay.
From his childhood and from being a young teenager.
Being raised by people that have a job. That's just weird. Maybe his parents were cold. I guess we don't know. But that's just kind of funny how, they worked at the zoo and he's like, I felt like a caged animal because, it's just, I don't know. Seems like a bit much.
It does.
It just doesn't seem genuine at all.
At some point, a woman named Linda Jarrigan had came forward and said an inmate named Jesse James Coffey, who had worked with her husband Billy, had written a letter from prison confessing to killing one of the prostitutes. I told you this case is just going to take some weird turns during trial. Now, Coffey also admitted to helping kill and bury 2 of the other women. Billy Jarrigan was called in to testify at the trial. He and Coffey... Now, this is what Jarrigan is saying. He's like, yeah, Coffey and I had gotten high on cocaine together, but we never raped, murdered, or buried any prostitutes.
Yeah, we just did coke.
Yeah, that's totally not anything that remotely happened.
Yeah.
So this trial is going to go on for 13 years if you include the appeals.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
An appellate court would throw the case out altogether. Thomas was likely Knoxville's first serial killer, but he was let go on those murder charges.
What the hell?
He did, however, get a 66-year sentence in the rapes from 1991 to 1992.
Okay, well...
Now, I have some details about the rapes, and this is where the story is going to get kind of graphic, because we've got some testimony of, what exactly happened. But I want to bring this forth because I think it's important to see what a fucking monster this guy is.
Well, seeing how this story, I'm sure the locals know all, everybody in that area knew all about it, but yeah, let's get it out there.
So let's get into the details about the rapes. July 17th, 1992, the first rape victim said she had spent the night at a friend's apartment, and on the 18th, she had walked from the apartment to Crystal for breakfast. Crystal Burger, the home of those tiny burgers.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like White Castle. They're like little sliders almost.
You say you don't care for them, but I like the little warm burgers. If they're fresh.
Well, don't they put a lot of onions and mustard?
They do onions and mustard and pickle.
And I'm not a huge
That is not up your alley.
I don't like onions.
Pickles on your sandwich either. So,
well, I do like pickles, but not on, I don't know, pickles and onions. It's just a little too.
Okay, so she's going down there to get her sack full.
Yep. Well, Huskey was driving in the opposite direction on this Magnolia Avenue, which, by the way, is the, avenue during the early 90s where prostitutes were known to frequent.
Okay.
And so he's driving in the opposite direction of her while she's walking, to the Crystal. Well, he had asked the victim for directions to an auction house, and he claimed he couldn't hear her, and he was like, hey, can you come closer to the window? I can't hear what you're saying. Once she got over to the window of his vehicle, he pulled a gun out, points it at her basically. Then he drags her through the window, leaving her legs hanging out of the car window as he drives away.
This is in broad daylight.
Yes, it is. He drove her to an area near Chilawi Park, which is near the zoo. He told her to get out of the vehicle, but when she tried opening the door, he grew angry at her. He started pointing the gun at her again, telling her if she didn't do everything he said, he was going to kill her. He told her she was going to perform oral sex on him and that he was going to have intercourse with her. He ran around to the passenger side of the car, basically opens the door, jerks her out, forces her to her knees. She grabbed a cross necklace she was wearing and kind of started praying because she's terrified. That's when Huskey told her that God can't help you now. And then he exposed his penis. He shoves it in her mouth. He then grew angrier and told her that if she didn't do it right, he was going to kill her. That's when she cooperated and performed oral sex on him. Now, the victim was carrying a pocket knife. She pulled it out and tried to open it, but when Huskey heard it click, he became angry again. She swung the knife at him, but he had managed to kind of get her to drop it. He then made her crawl into the barn on the property, because there's a barn near where they are located. And he makes her go into the barn, makes her crawl in there. He took $42.55 that she had, on her person, and a diamond tennis bracelet that she was wearing. He made her undress down to shoes and socks. He then dragged her into one of the stalls, one of the, horse stalls or whatever, and raped her. He would time the assault in various positions using a watch.
Okay.
He had his watch set. And then he attempted to anally rape her, but that didn't work out for him, which of course made him really angry. He then grabbed a rope that was hanging in the stall and tried to tie it around her neck. It was too short to fit around her neck, so he continued raping her until he caught a glimpse of a shadow on the wall of the barn stall. That's when the victim says he almost kind of started freaking out a little bit. Like he is realizing what he'd done or something. He pulls up his pants. He goes back to the car. That's when the victim was able to grab her clothes. She ran through the area nearby. It's a park and it's near the zoo. So she runs, finds this parking lot next to the zoo. She's still nude. She keeps running. She eventually stops near 5th Avenue to put on her clothes. She claimed, her underwear were left in the barn. The woman then returned to her friend's apartment. She's obviously in shock. She didn't tell anybody what had happened.
What the fuck?
She goes, takes a bath. Eventually, she asks her aunt to take her to the hospital because she was having some shoulder pain from the assault. It was during the hospital visit that she finally, broke down and told a nurse what had happened and that she had been raped.
I wonder why she was reluctant. Or is it just the same old shit that's been done to rape victims for years and years and years? Well, the shame and the treating them like hell and all that.
Well, there's so much, I think, that happens, and I think you're just in shock.
Yeah.
When you are so violently and physically attacked like this, you're just not even thinking straight.
Right. Okay.
You know, and a lot of times
I can see that.
I think your first thought is just,
I need to clean.
I just don't want this, I gotta wash this away.
Dirty.
Like, you just feel
right.
horrible.
Like people, victims often will like shower frequently and, you know, they just get that whole, like, yeah. Okay. Well, that's very sad.
So I just think maybe she wasn't in her right state of mind.
Right. That's very sad.
Super freaked out.
I wish she had to cut his dick off for
terrifying.
That fucking knife.
She tells the hospital, the nurse, she'd been raped. Well, this woman led police to the barn where they were able to recover her underwear. A bra that didn't belong to her was there as well. The victim told police she had never been a prostitute. Now, eventually it did come out that she was a drug addict. She'd been in and out of rehab even just before the attack.
Which doesn't matter. It doesn't mean she deserves to be a victim. Yeah.
But you know how they are painting like this woman as, well, she's a sex worker and she's a drug addict.
I've said it before.
Discredits the victim.
I've said it before that they don't go out of their way to list any other profession because that's her job. Let's be honest. It might be illegal in the eyes of society, but that's just her fucking job. But they're always like a known prostitute when they're talking about the victim. Like, why the fuck? That don't even matter.
Right.
But yeah,
I agree.
Pisses me off.
Now, another victim testified that she had met Huskey outside a bar in Knoxville where he had driven past her several times. They made a deal for sex and oral sex in exchange for $30.
Wow.
It's lowballing it, isn't it?
I guess they got the price driven down there around Knoxville.
In the 90s? I don't know.
Well, $30 in the 90s, a little bit better than now, but still.
When she got into the truck, he was driving a truck, by the way. He pulled out a pistol, points it at her. He drove her to the site near Chilawi Park by the barn. Again, he's got his spots, I guess, that he likes. He forced her into the barn, hit her several times, and made her undress. He tied her head and feet and hands, almost like spread eagle.
Oh, God.
To a wire fence inside the barn.
All right.
So he's got her, hands tied, her legs tied, and he almost has her, like her head sort of tied to this fence.
Okay, so he's getting more sophisticated. He's ready.
So she just, can't move at all.
Yeah, he's got his rope.
He rapes her several times. Then he forced her over a trough where he sodomized her. He then started choking her, but there were some headlights from another vehicle approaching that spooked him. So he gets up, hurried to get dressed. He takes her clothes. He told her he would shoot her if she made any noises. And then he was kicking her and I'm going to kill you if you scream. And then he leaves. She says she waited about 2 hours inside the barn because she didn't feel like she could even walk. Her legs were so badly injured from this attack. Finally, nude, she manages to get herself up, walk, in a lot of pain.
So he went out of his way to grab her clothes this time. Back
to Magnolia Avenue, where a man picks her up. He gives her a coat to wear. He's like, what's happened to you? We've got to get you to, the cops. We've got to get you to a hospital. This guy's really helpful. It helps her out. But altogether, she says that attack lasted between 5 to 6 hours, basically.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No.
Horrible.
So, it sounds like he's getting worse.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So this is leading up to the murders, basically. Now, another victim said that he had told her, I hate prostitutes. I want to kill all of you whores. This guy's a monster. And although he is in prison for the rapes, he was never convicted for the murders of the 4 women.
Which that's not right.
That's not right.
Because it's pretty fucking obvious that he did it.
Yes.
Come on. You got this guy who brutally attacks women and all these other bodies in his favorite spot. It's just, I just can't believe that case went all to pieces like that. And that's what happens sometimes. The prosecutor and their actions of the district attorney office or whatever is very important. And the police, because that's what can happen. Your whole case fall apart.
Yeah, like I said, this thing went on for 13 years.
That search warrant it sounded like someone who doesn't normally is not even allowed to, or maybe they can do in certain instances, maybe not criminal, I don't know, but that was a mistake. You wait a minute and get a judge, you get a normal judge or whatever to order it. And then you get all that evidence. I mean, that rope very well could have been proven by 92. I'm sure they were comparing fibers and things like that. They probably could have matched that up with the rope on the victims. You know what I mean? Microscopically or whatever the hell, brand at least or anything. But yeah, they lost all that evidence just because they made a mistake with a search warrant.
Yes. He's a fellow who's preying upon prostitutes, which you hear about